Hey y'all, I'm Yadi. Reddit's full of chaos, and today we're going to be getting into some of that. Let's get started. Am I the a-hole for giving my sister and her 3 daughters 1 week to move out? Alright, let's see what's going on here. Throwaway. My sister went through a bad divorce. She lost her apartment and recently her job. She has 3 daughters, all under 15. She takes care of them since their dad left town after the divorce. That's genuinely a very hard situation. She kept jumping from house to house. She stayed with mom for 2 months, then moved out, moved in with my uncle, then moved out, then my brother in the city, but only stayed with him for a few days before moving out. Red flag. At some point when it's everybody, you start to wonder what's actually going on. She asked to move in with me and I agreed, although I was a bit hesitant since I've got a lot on my plate. My husband is sick and was discharged from the hospital recently. She said, since I don't have kids, which is a bit insensitive of her to say given my infertility issues, then everything will be fine. Yeah, no, with that comment alone, I'm making her turn right back around. She moved in and it was horrible. The girls started making an endless mess. They'd mess with the dog, break stuff, stay up late at night, which kids would be kids, but where's your mother? Worst of all, my sister would have my husband watch the girls while I'm at work and while she goes to the salon, not to work there, but to get herself ready for job interviews, which she never attends, then says they didn't hire her. I wanted to be patient and graceful and find solutions to the girls' misbehavior, like hiding important stuff, my husband's meds, and my makeup. It all came to head days ago. Not work, not interviews, the salon? Why are we at the salon for a job interview if you're already short on money? And the fact that she has to hide stuff in her own home, that's unacceptable. Since my husband's sick, he can't cook by himself. Before I leave for work, I'd prepare breakfast and leave it for him in the fridge. It's a healthy breakfast needed for meds. Also, if I'm working overtime, I'd prepare lunch for him the night before. While at work, I got a text from my husband telling me he couldn't find anything to eat. He was asking about yogurt, anything to take with his meds, and I told him there was an entire breakfast that I left for him in the fridge. He said it wasn't there when he woke up. That poor man probably thought his wife just forgot about his breakfast. I was confused, but only momentarily, as I'd realized the girls had eaten it. I was very upset. I called my sister and she kept hanging up on me. Then sent a text saying she was in the middle of a job interview. Of course she is. She's just trying to get that bag. So not only had she left the girls with my husband knowing he couldn't watch them, she let them eat his breakfast. That's not an accident. That's neglect and entitlement. She just willy-nilly left the girls at home, didn't ask nothing, left them nothing to eat. I texted her about it and she said it was not a big deal and that she was in a hurry for her job interview and didn't make them breakfast. I went off on her saying she was out of line and had made mine and my husband's life a living nightmare. Saying that this is not a big deal is actually insane. She didn't respond.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Her not responding says it all. It was a terrible day. I bought groceries and cooked again. I waited for her before talking to the girls because they lied saying the dog ate the food. And the dog is just sitting there like, what did I do? She returned at 7 p.m. way late. I confronted her and she downplayed it, saying it was fine. The girls didn't know it was an emergency, etc., etc. Still not a big deal. Still no accountability. She even tried to apologize to my husband, but I told her she needed to move out and that she had 1 week. 1 week? That's honestly pretty generous. She only lasted a few days at the brother's house. She looked at me stunned and started arguing about how she couldn't afford rental. I told her she could with her new job. What she said next left me speechless. She said the interview didn't work out. Why? Because her interview happened to be her ex's friend. The coincidence. She said she made a scene and walked out. Of all people, of course, it had to be her ex's friend. I told her it was wild of her to expect me to believe that story. She started crying and trying to show me proof, but she didn't even open her phone. Source? Trust me, bro. I said it was final and went to my room. My husband said he didn't want me and my sister to fight because of him. I assured him it wasn't just that. That's honestly sad. Him and the dog did nothing wrong. I was surprised when she kept sending the girls, one by one, to knock on my door and beg me. I felt so horrible. Now I'm slowly starting to reconsider my decision. Am I the a-hole here? Not the asshole. Gotta protect your peace, girl. The fact that she used the girls to guilt trip you? Absolutely not. That's basically emotional manipulation. We got some comments here. Nope. Not the a-hole. Time for your sister and her 3 little menaces to go be someone else's problem. Some people have to learn things the hard way. Facts, but the sister still hasn't learned anything. Not the a-hole. Of course you're not the a-hole. When you are a guest in someone's home, you treat it with respect and courtesy. You should be grateful. Her children show you exactly how much they appreciate it. They lie, steal, and break things. They know you didn't cook that for them, but since they see their mom trampling all over you, they do it too. What your sister is doing is shirking all her responsibilities onto your husband and you. Why wouldn't you be happy about it, right? The job interview was her having lunch, catching up with a friend because she has everything else covered by you. It's time to take out the trash. Exactly. On to the next potential a-hole. C. Am I the a-hole for taking everything that's mine when my roommate asked me to move out? If it's yours, right? My 21 male roommate, 21 female, and I moved into an apartment together about 5 months ago. We're friends, and she was the one who found the place and put me on the lease to sign. I was nothing but respectful as a roommate. We split chores, I did my dishes, and there wasn't any tension between us, or so I thought. Okay, so they were friends, or so I thought. Because honestly, becoming roommates can either make or break a friendship. One day while I was out, she texted me saying she needed to talk when I got home. You know, when you see that message, the stress skyrockets. When I returned, she sat me down and told me she wanted me to move out. She said she didn't think she wanted to continue living with me. She'd already talked to the landlord and set a move-out date for January 1st. Okay, so she's been thinking about this heavily, because how does the landlord know about this before OP? I was blindsided but didn't put up a fight. I decided to leave as quickly as I could because why stay somewhere I'm not wanted? Valid. I scrambled to find another place, and in the process, I realized something important. I paid for pretty much everything in the apartment.
Wait a minute!
The plates, couch, TV, router for the Wi-Fi, which I also paid for, and all the cool stuff in the apartment were purchased out of my pocket. So I told her I'd be taking everything I bought when I moved out. She said, okay. I don't think that okay is gonna age very well. On the day I moved out, I rented a truck and took all my things. She wasn't home, so when she came back to the apartment, it was basically empty. She freaked out and started texting and calling me. The echo, the absence of a couch, the consequences of your actions. When I answered, she went on a rant about how I shouldn't have taken everything, how bad the apartment looked now, and how she was supposed to explain the situation to her friends. I calmly reminded her that I told her I was taking the things I bought and she agreed. She hung up on me, but then she started telling our mutual friends what happened. Now some of them are calling me an a-hole for leaving her in a bare apartment, while others say I did the right thing because it was all my stuff anyway. Dang, she really ran straight to the group chat. For what it's worth, I didn't leave her with nothing. I left the mini fridge, though I took the liquor that was inside of it. So I feel like I was considerate enough. Am I the a-hole? Best believe I'm taking everything I paid for. Yes, even the toilet paper. She didn't just lose a roommate, she lost the interior design. Alright, we got some comments here. Not the a-hole, she wanted you gone and you took your belongings with you. That's normal and expected. You should never leave a roommate to deal with things that don't belong to them. Which honestly, yeah, I'm not a free storage unit. I don't want other people's stuff in my home. Not the a-hole, you no longer live there. There is no reason for your property to be there. Tell your friends that they are welcome to furnish your former roommate's home if they feel so strongly about it, but she isn't your responsibility. Have you canceled the Wi-Fi yet? Yeah, they could go ahead and be generous with their own money and stuff, just like they were trying to be generous with your stuff. Verdict is not the a-hole. Alright, we got our last story for today. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my roommate's boyfriend use my shower? Now that's interesting because a shower is very intimate. So I, 24 female, share an apartment with my roommate, Sarah, 25 female. We generally get along fine, but she has a boyfriend, Jake, 26 male, who is always over. Like at this point, I think he actually lives here more than I do. Sir, if you're always here, rent's due on the 1st. The issue? Jake refuses to shower at his own place. Yeah, that's concerning. I don't know why. He claims his water pressure is bad, but I think he just likes my shower because we have those fancy rain shower heads. Either way, every time he stays over, he uses my bathroom instead of Sarah's. And why isn't he using Sarah's bathroom? I think it's common sense to use your own girlfriend's bathroom. At first I let it slide, but then I started noticing things, my shampoo running out suspiciously fast, my towels being damp when I hadn't used them, and worst of all, the man was using my expensive eucalyptus body wash. I splurged on that. He smells amazing, but at my expense. The audacity is just insane. Bro's living lavishly for the free. So last week, I finally put my foot down and told Sarah, hey, Jake needs to use your shower from now on. She got weirdly defensive, saying he feels more comfortable in mine. At this point, I think Sarah's bathroom is a problem, because why is he so comfortable using the roommate's shower, which is basically a random person, over his girlfriend's? Doesn't make sense. I said, great, he can feel comfortable at his own apartment. She got mad and said I was being dramatic over just a shower. Downplaying at its finest. Just a shower? Girl, that's my shower. Jake is now sulking. Sarah is annoyed, and I'm wondering, am I the a-hole for not wanting my roommate's boyfriend to treat my bathroom like a luxury spa? Absolutely not. Did we just forget that boundaries exist? Okay, we have an update. Hi. After I posted the first story, some of you suggested some things, and thank you for all of that. Well, things have escalated. After my conversation with Sarah, I thought the issue was settled, but nope. Jake decided to test boundaries, and he just keeps on going. He just keeps pushing the buttons. A couple of days later, I came home from work to find my bathroom door locked and the shower running. Guess who was inside? Yup, Jake. I knocked and said, "Hey, what are you doing in my bathroom?" He had the audacity to yell back, "Just showering. I'll be out in a minute." Like he lives here. I just can't wrap my head around how he thought that this was even slightly okay. I'm getting stressed right now. I was fuming when he finally emerged wearing my towel. Yeah, no, jail time. We gonna have to lock him up. Officer, right here. I lost it. I told him straight up that this was my space and that he had no right to use it without my permission. Sarah, instead of backing me up, said I was making a big deal out of nothing and that I should just share. Well, Sarah, I think you should just share with your boyfriend. I told her that if Jake wants access to a rain shower head so badly, he can install one at his own place. I'd even send him the link to buy him, airdrop right now. The next day, I went full petty mode and put a lock on my bathroom door, as some of you suggested. Sarah flipped out, saying I was being extreme and that I was ruining the dynamic. What dynamic? The free spa? I told her that Jake had ruined the dynamic when he started treating my stuff like his own. Now Jake refuses to come over unless I relax, and Sarah is acting like I'm a tyrant. I'm standing my ground, but the apartment is tense. Did I go too far? Don't threaten me with a good time. Jake can stay at his house. You're definitely not the a-hole. And this is exactly why we can't have nice things. Some comments here. Burdick was not the a-hole. Somebody commented, not the a-hole, they're not respecting your space or your belongings. Bars. Honestly, all these a-holes had me stressed. But that's enough for today. Thanks for hanging with me, and I'll see you on the next one.